Do you ever feel just completely overwhelmed? Maybe a little distracted? Like your brain has a million tabs open and you can't figure out how to close any of them? Well, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're diving into a survival guide for the modern mind. We're going to break down why we all feel this way and, more importantly, what we can actually do about it. Seriously, think about it. It's a ridiculously common experience, right? That feeling that your own ability to focus is somehow working against you. But listen, this isn't some personal failing. It's actually a design feature of the world we're living in. And just understanding that, well, that's the first step to taking back control. So, what's our game plan for this? First, we're going to peek under the hood and see what's really happening in our brains. Then we'll get into some awesome instant physical hacks you can use right away. After that, we'll talk about powerful mindset shifts and then some long-term strategies for building real resilience. We'll wrap it all up with a practical toolkit you can start using like today. All right, let's get right into it. To solve any problem, you've got to understand it first. And the problem here, it isn't you. It's the environment that your brain is trying to operate in 24/7. This is so important. So let's just throw the whole blame game out the window right now. There is absolutely nothing wrong with your brain's hardware. It's running on software that's being constantly manipulated by the world around you. So who's the hijacker? Well, it's got a name: dopamine. You've probably heard of it. It's this chemical in your brain that makes you feel pleasure and reward, and your brain is basically a heat-seeking missile for this stuff. It's not inherently good or bad, it's just an incredibly powerful motivator. And here's the trap. Our modern world offers this endless, all-you-can-eat buffet of cheap, super easy dopamine. Every single swipe, every notification, every little bite of junk food is a tiny instant hit. Now, compare that to the slow, kind of effort-filled dopamine you get from, say, reading a chapter or finishing a workout. Your brain, being smart, always seeks the path of least resistance. It's always going to choose the easy hit. And what's the result of all this? Your baseline for what actually feels good or pleasurable gets pushed so high that normal, healthy stuff starts to feel, well, boring. This constant state of seeking and being overstimulated leaves us feeling anxious, mentally exhausted, and totally unable to switch our thoughts off. Sound familiar? So, when you're in that state of total overwhelm, what can you do, like, right now? This next part is all about immediate physical tools to slam the brakes on that anxiety. You know, psychologists call this a bottom-up approach. Trying to reason with a panicked brain is basically like shouting into a hurricane. It just doesn't work. Instead, we can use our body to send a signal of safety up to the brain. Okay, check this out. This technique is incredibly simple but shockingly powerful. It's a double inhale through the nose, kind of like a quick sniff, which pops open these tiny little air sacs in your lungs. Then you follow that with a long, slow exhale through your mouth. That long exhale literally tells your nervous system, hey, it's safe to calm down. It's your body's built-in stress reducer. Why don't you try it with me right now? In, and a long exhale out. Now, when your mind is just racing with worries about the future or regrets from the past, this exercise yanks you right back to the safety of the present moment. By engaging all of your senses, you're anchoring yourself in reality, reminding your brain that right here, right now, you are okay. Okay, so now that we have some tools to calm our bodies, we can start working on our minds. See, once you're physically calmer, it's way easier to address the stories you're telling yourself. This section is all about upgrading your mental software. This is a total game changer. Just let that sink in for a second. The feeling of anxiety you get before a big presentation and the feeling of excitement you get before riding a roller coaster, physiologically, they are identical. It's wild when you see it laid out like this, isn't it? Whether it's fear or excitement, your body does the exact same thing. You get sweaty palms, your heart starts racing. It's just getting you ready for action. The only difference is the story your brain tells about that feeling. So the big question is, can we consciously change that story? Yes, you can. And here's the step-by-step process. The moment you feel that fear, you count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's a simple trick to interrupt that panic loop and activate the thinking part of your brain. Then you deliberately picture a positive outcome, that's your anchor thought, and you relabel the physical feeling. Saying, I'm excited out loud gives your brain a brand new command for how to process what your body is experiencing. Worry, at its core, usually comes from a feeling of scarcity, a fear that you don't have enough of something. And gratitude is the direct antidote to that.
By actually listing out what you do have, even tiny things like a warm bed or a good cup of coffee, you shift your brain from a state of lack to a state of abundance. And that just turns off the fear response.
Okay, so we've got our in-the-moment hacks. That's our defense. But how do we build a life that's less prone to being hijacked in the first place? This is about going on offense. It's about designing our environment for mental strength. I mean, how powerful is that metaphor? The seed isn't the problem, the tiny pot is. If your daily environment is a little 2-foot pot of constant distraction and high stress, you will never reach your full potential. We have to create a better, bigger environment for our minds to actually grow. So, to appreciate the simple pleasures in life again, we actually need to starve the brain of its constant high dopamine junk food. I'm not gonna lie, at first, boredom will feel excruciating. That's basically withdrawal. But if you stick with it, you'll actually recalibrate your brain, and suddenly, reading a book or just sitting with your thoughts will feel rewarding again.
Here's a cool trick. If you don't give your brain a specific time to process its concerns during the day, I promise you, it will force an update right when your head hits the pillow. By scheduling just 15 minutes to write down your worries, you're telling your brain, hey, I hear you, I've logged this, we'll deal with it tomorrow. This teaches your brain to trust you so it can finally relax at night.
And what about our work environment? This is a big one. We often chase these exciting jobs in cool industries, but this can actually be a trap. These jobs often have lower pay, way higher stress, and pretty awful management. Because frankly, there are hundreds of people lined up to take your place. A so-called boring job at a stable company might actually offer better pay, a healthier work-life balance, and more experienced managers, creating a much more resilient foundation for your life. Something to think about. Wow. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground, from neuroscience to practical life design. So how do we put this all together into something we can actually use? Here it is, your toolkit. When you feel that wave of overwhelm, use the physiological sigh, or the 5-4-3-2-1 method. When you feel fear bubbling up, reframe it into excitement. When you're stuck worrying, switch to gratitude. And for the long game, detox your dopamine and consciously design an environment that actually supports you instead of stifling you. Look, taking these steps can feel really daunting. It requires trying new things and, yeah, maybe facing some discomfort. But this quote puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? The fear of trying something new is temporary. The pain of staying stuck exactly where you are, that can last a lifetime. Ultimately, this isn't about finding some magic bullet. It's about recognizing that you have agency here. You have the tools. The choice to actually use them, well, that's yours. The only question left is, what's your first move?